Hey guys, today I want to show you a flip through and sort of first impressions of Write by Number. Let's jump in. First of all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaela. I am a second generation homeschool mom, a homeschool graduate myself turned homeschool mom. I'm currently homeschooling my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old, and my 9-month-old is along for the ride. If you want to see more of our day-to-day homeschool life, be sure to reach out on Instagram. I do share quite a bit over there, especially in stories. And you can also reach me right here in the comment section on any of my YouTube videos. So I am going to turn the camera around and show you guys these books, but I just want to touch on a few things first. So the first thing I want to let you know is this is not your ordinary writing curriculum. Personally, I have not seen anything on the market that is like Write by Number. This program is designed to be used at any age or grade level. So that means early elementary age, as soon as they're developmentally and intellectually ready to start writing, all the way up through high school graduation. This curricula is designed to give them all the tools they need to write and to write really well, from a single sentence all the way to an 8-paragraph essay. The program is divided into stages rather than individual lessons or levels, grade levels. It's 12 stages. And no matter how old your kiddo is when you're starting to use the program, the author does recommend starting them at stage 1, and then from there, allowing your kiddo to progress at their own pace, whether that means flying through the first few stages or continuing to work through one stage for weeks, months, or years, however long it takes for them to really master the skills being taught in that stage. The curricula consists of 2 books. So you have your student book and your teacher book, and I will show you both of those today. As I get into the introduction of the curricula, I will also talk about the author of the program and her credentials. And of course, I will link Write by Number's website below in the description box so that you can take a look at what their current product offerings are right now. I do want to note that I believe the particular teacher book that I have has been replaced by a soft cover edition. So just keep that in mind. I also just want to note that I paid for these books with my own money. This video is not affiliated in any way with Write by Number. I'm not sponsored by them. I was not gifted these products. In retrospect, I kind of wish that I had reached out to them and asked if they might consider doing something like that, because it would have saved me a lot. Write by Number does offer a free trial, which I highly encourage you to take advantage of because the books are not very cheap. Obviously, if they actually last from elementary through high school graduation, then I think that the price is well worth it. But I personally haven't gotten there quite yet. So the jury is still out. All right, without further ado, let's turn the camera around and show you what these books look like on the inside. So let's talk about the quality of these books because they are at a higher price point. So I want to assure you that the quality of these books is really, really nice. You'll see that the student book is a hardcover binding, but the texture of this cover is a soft, almost suede-like feel that I just personally really, really like. I also love the aesthetic and the graphic design of these books. I know that that doesn't really matter at all when we're talking about curricula and our kids' education. What's inside definitely matters more than the cover, but it certainly helps things that this cover is really lovely and pretty and kind of matches my own personal taste. I feel like it even goes with some of the stylistic things that I have picked out for this channel, which is kind of funny. The teacher book has the same soft suede feel. I don't think that they are printing this particular teacher book anymore because the only one that I'm seeing available on the website is a soft cover version. So I can't speak to the quality of that version or what that looks like. But the one that I got, I was really happy to snag it. I really like it a lot. And I especially like that it has this hidden coil binding on the inside. So on your shelf, it looks like a lovely hardcover bound book. But when you open it up, surprise, you have some secret coil binding and it lays nice and flat. One more detail about the physical characteristics of the book is that you will notice a size difference between the student book and the teacher book. They have the exact same print, so it might be hard to tell, but the teacher book is significantly wider than the student book. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick size comparison for you in case you are worried about fitting these on your bookshelf or in your homeschool cart. I'm sorry for the reflection of my ring light. The teacher book for Write by Number is just a bit bigger. The student book is about the exact same size as my All About Reading guide. And then one more little size comparison. If you've ever used Singapore Dimensions Math, you know that the teacher's guides are pretty large. So the teacher book for Write by Number is just a little bit shorter than the teacher's guide for Dimensions. It's about the same width if you cut out the large spiral binding. And then just to compare spine size here, I don't have any problem fitting these in my homeschool cart. I use the IKEA cart that has been popular for a long time. I don't think you'd have any trouble fitting these on a standard bookshelf either. Okay, so I am going to show you the student book first. So when you first open your student book, you will have your table of contents. Your stages are arranged 1 through 12. These don't exactly correlate with grade levels, but I do like that she designed it in 12 stages, because if you wanted to designate a stage per grade level, you could. So stage 1 could be where you start your first grader, and stage 12 could be what you would like to be completed by the end of high school. Obviously, it's not going to align perfectly for every kid. It'll depend on the age and grade level and writing experience level that they are at when they start the program, but I just kind of like that it neatly fits into 12 stages. Next is an introduction. Again, this is written to the student, so the text is a little bit larger. It's very simple and easy to read. It explains that writing is difficult, that this program is kind of inspired by Paint by Number. They're going to give you a pattern to follow in your writing. And once you learn the pattern, you should simply be able to plug in sentences or paragraphs based on the pattern, and it's going to make writing on your own a lot easier. She talks about the book borders and the layout of them, which is going to be important, and you'll see why. And then you jump right into stage 1. Stage 1 is a first power sentence. So she gives you a little introduction. This is what you're going to learn in stage 1. Then here is your lesson text. So this is meant to be either read by the student or you, the parent, teacher, to read with your student. We have some first power sentence examples here. We have a list of worksheets that might help for this stage, and I'll show you those in just a second. Then we have our stage 1 assignment with clear steps and instructions and a visual aid to show exactly what we're looking for in this assignment. They give you a sample, a checklist to check and edit your assignment. And then she has a section here on why she suggests using pen and rewriting versus erasing. Obviously, this is going to be optional, but she does make a strong case for it. And then that is it. You move right into stage 2. So there's not a ton of information here. It's not going to have a script or any guidance on how to teach this because, again, this is not for the instructor. This is for the student. So let's talk about these page borders here. These are kind of your key as you move about through the curricula. And you'll see that when you get to these later stages, a lot of these are filled in with color. So if we go back to that introduction page, she says that the majority of this book has borders on each page, and these borders serve as a map to show where you are in the program. The left border will indicate different ways that we are varying our paragraphs and our essays, and the right side is going to show sentence patterns. So in these early stages, you'll notice that not a lot of this is filled in. In fact, in stage 1, we only have this one filled in here because it is the power sentence. It's meant to be the first sentence that will eventually lead to a paragraph. But right now, we're not there yet. We are literally just writing the first sentence. None of this is filled in. If we go to a later stage, you'll notice that our key here for paragraph structure is all filled in. We also have a few symbols representing paragraph variations that are colored in. And then over here, it's telling you exactly what sentence pattern you are working on. So the curricula is divided into 12 stages, but over the course of 12 stages, your student will learn 38 sentence patterns. So when we get to the back here, you'll see we have learned all 38 of those sentence patterns. We'll have learned our paragraph structure, our paragraph variations, our essay structure, our different themes, our different paragraph functions, and essay outlines. My first impression of these was that I was a little bit overwhelmed. I wasn't sure how I would remember what everything means. However, the more that I've looked at it, I really do like this. I think it's just a nice reference point. If you're ever confused about anything you see on these borders, you can always flip to the back of your book where you have quick references. Now, these quick references don't start until stage 6 because there's really not a whole lot going on before stage 6. But for stages 6 through 12, we have a one-page quick reference guide, and we see that the sentence patterns are starting to be listed. And then it will remind you of your paragraph pattern in these boxes. As we move to higher stages, you're going to have the same list of sentence pattern, the same paragraph pattern, but you're also going to have a key for your paragraph themes. So here in stage 10, we're learning our first paragraph theme, which is Q. And our reference point for Q is that it's a quotation theme. All of that is explained in greater detail when you actually go to the lesson, but just in case you need a quick refresher, you have that reference page in the back. And again, these reference pages are for 6 through 12. After that, we also have a quick reference for all of our sentence patterns in one place. So this is sentence pattern 1 through 38 listed for you in one spot. And then in the very back of the book, we have a glossary for grammar terms. I told you I was going to show you the worksheets. So if we go back to stage 1, we have a list here of worksheets that might help. Your worksheets can be found in the appendix in the back of the book. So for your first worksheet, you're learning the difference between 2, 2, and 2. It has a little bit of instruction here. And then on the back, your actual practice sentences. You're not meant to write in this book. Your child or student should have a separate notebook for these practice sentences to be written in. In this case, they're just circling the correct word for each spot in 10 different sentences. So I think for a very young child, you might write out these sentences for them in their notebook exactly as they're written here, and then they could just do the circling. For an older kid who's starting at stage 1, maybe they write out the sentence. And as they write it out, they're correcting and putting the right word in the right spot. And then our second worksheet is all about capitalization. Again, we have 10 sentences here for practice that are meant to be put in a separate notebook. Worksheet 3 is punctuation. Worksheet 4 is complete sentences. Worksheet 5 is plurals, so adding S or ES or IES or VES. Worksheet 6 is apostrophes. Worksheet 7 is to capitalize brands and names. Worksheet 8 is when to use me, myself, or I. Worksheet 9 is written and visual creations. So we're talking about italicizing in this worksheet. Worksheet 10 is on commas. Worksheet 11 is expletive construction. Worksheets 12, 13, and 14 are all on linking verbs. Worksheet 15 is on types of verbs. 16 is simple subjects and predicates. We do have a little bit of diagramming. and then we go into our reference pages. So there's a total of 16 worksheets. As you advance through the stages, the book matures and grows with the student. If you go back to stage 1, the handwriting that is shown in these examples is very obviously a young child, an early writer's handwriting. Although, to be honest, this looks pretty similar to my handwriting, but we're not going to go there. You can see we have the primary level writing guidelines on this piece of paper in our visual sample. We go to stage 2. We're starting to see some cursive, but still obviously a young kiddo, right? In stage 3, we've moved to college ruled lines. Once we get to stage 6, first of all, this is a much longer stage as far as it has a lot more material than any stage prior. And then in stage 6, there are no written samples. We start to move to these typed out samples. You'll see that here. Here. I think it's so cool that this book literally grows up with your kid. If we move all the way to stage 12, by this point we're writing full-on essays. And stage 12 teaches you 5 specific types of expository essays: argumentative, compare contrast, cause effect, demonstrative, and narrative. Stage 12, again, a lot of material. And obviously that's appropriate for this level of writing. But even with all of this material, things are still written clearly and concisely. She also always includes lots of word lists. If your student's getting stuck and they can't think of the right word, these boxes are really helpful for that. So that is everything in the student book. I'm just going to give you guys a quick flip through. Okay, so that is the student book. Now let's look at the teacher's book. When we open it up, we'll have a table of contents, and then we have a really nice introduction. I highly recommend reading this. It's really a confidence booster. She talks about some of the fears that we have around teaching writing and really just offers some encouragement here, even for people who feel like they have no understanding of grammar or spelling or they can't write. She really encourages you that anybody can teach this program. Anybody can teach their child or their classroom how to write. And I just loved this. I thought it was so encouraging and helpful. The introduction continues with how I know this method works. The I being our author, Lorena Townsend. So this part of the introduction, she's really sharing her personal qualifications and experience. And I did make my little sticky note here. So she has over 30 years of experience. She has a master's degree in English. She's taught 7th through 12th grade, and she was a professor at a college. She's also homeschooled 5 kids. This lady has done it. She has done the work. She has the experience of teaching English and writing. She talks about her method being based on the works of J.E. Sparks and Toby Larson. I'm not personally familiar with them. I haven't looked them up yet, but there you have it in case you want to do some more research. She talks about a mathematical technique for teaching writing, hence the name Write by Number. So this is explicit scaffolded writing instruction. It offers a step-by-step formula for writing. So in that way, it is mathematical. It's formulaic. It follows a pattern, and once you know the pattern, you can really be let loose to implement it in lots of different ways across all content. She also talks about how this program works for every student, including those with special needs, including those who are severely dyslexic, and also including gifted students. She says that for the 12 stages of this program, she recommends taking between 3 and 10 years to complete all 12 stages. So obviously that's going to vary depending on how old your kiddo is when they start. If you're starting this program because you are doing an intervention with a 6th grader, then obviously it's not going to take you 10 years to finish all of these stages. But if you're starting with a 1st grader or a 2nd grader, it most likely will take closer to 10 years to finish all of the stages. Over here, I have a note. It's not fun. It's not fluffy. It's not magical, and it's not free expression style writing. It doesn't mean that your child is going to hate this or that it's going to be a chore. It just means there is no added fluff. There's no added magic or wonder in this program. It is a program that is designed to teach your kids to write, to teach them to write well. And so she says right here, not all kids are going to love it, but all kids are going to learn how to write. That's okay for me and my family, but I did write it down because it might not be for you and yours, and that's okay. After the introduction is a section on frequently asked questions, and I have lots of notes here. So over here, I wrote the goal of what your child's going to learn by the time they finish all 12 stages with Write by Number. They'll be able to write an 8-paragraph essay with correct grammar, correct spelling, correct usage, and punctuation. They will know 38 sentence patterns. And then I jotted down, who is this curricula for? She really talks about making sure that your child is developmentally ready, both physically and intellectually, and I really appreciated that she included that. Yes, this curricula can work for gifted students, dyslexic students, students with the special needs, but we want to make sure that we're looking for readiness. And so she talks about how they should be able to actually read fluently, not just decode. You'd want to make sure that they actually have the fine motor skills to put a pencil to paper. Over here, she talks about grammar and spelling instruction. I found everything that she said to be very research-backed, meaning that she agrees with the research that grammar and spelling should be taught mainly through writing practice rather than separate subjects that are taught in isolation. I found this to be really refreshing. I think it's backed up by the research and it agrees with things like the writing revolution. And then she addresses, can you use Write by Number with other language arts curricula? Can you just use parts of Write by Number? And she says that basically you can plug Write by Number into any language arts curricula. You can also plug it into any content area. Your child can use the formulas that are taught in Write by Number to write for any of the subjects that they're learning. We have some more FAQs over here, and then we have an editing guide. You don't have to use this exact editing guide. She just offers it as a suggestion, but she also says every editor uses marks a little bit differently, and that's okay. So just agree on how you're going to mark edits with your kid, whether that means you using this guide, or maybe you find a different one online, or you have a different one from another language arts curricula that you really like. Just make sure that you both know what you're using and that you're consistent with it, and it will work fine. And then right after that, we have, oh, such a beauty, scope and sequence. I love a good scope and sequence. So it is going to tell you the writing structure and the grammar and mechanics that are taught in each of the 12 stages. After that, we go right into our stages. And you might think, this looks exactly like the student book, but there's actually a ton of stuff included in here that's not in the student book. So let's talk about that. So stage 1 in our teacher's guide, it has an overview with clear goals, an objective, a readiness assessment. Is my kid actually ready to start this stage? These are the things to look for. It gives you a quick differentiation guide on how to address different types of students. And then it talks about cross-curricular integration. And it says, in any subject requiring a written sentence, ask students to write it using the stage 1 requirements. So right there, that is your writing across your content area. You're going to try to work on this particular type of sentence in any school subject until they have really mastered it. We also have a list of our Common Core standards and some additional teacher references, and then the student materials that you need for this lesson, which is your student book, and any lined paper or spiral notebook. Then we go to our next page. We have a clear summary and each of our goals, 1, 2, 3, with more information on those goals, on the challenges in reaching the goals and the purpose of each of those goals. When we open our student book, we go straight to the first power sentence examples. So these two sections are the same, but then after that they diverge. The student book goes straight into worksheets and assignments. The teacher book says how to teach stage 1, and then it differentiates how to teach dependent learners versus independent learners. Everything that you see here in bold is actually your script for teaching. So it says, today you are going to write one sentence. Start on this line and write one sentence that uses the word to. And then it says, give examples if necessary. What sentence do you think you want to write? Write the sentence here. Then you edit their sentence, and then you have them rewrite the sentence, correcting all of the edits. Great job, you did it. That's it. Obviously, you don't have to use this script. It says that right here. For an independent learner, it says for them to read through the student book on their own, and then if necessary, use this script. So it still provides a script for you. And it also says that for independent learners, they might finish stage 1 in just one day. This would apply if you're starting a much older student in stage 1. They might be able to show mastery of it right away, and if so, don't hold them back, move them right into stage 2. So let's go back to our side-by-side comparison. We have our stage 1 assignment in our teacher's guide, and we have the student sample. That is again going to be the same in the student book and the teacher book. They also both have the same list of worksheets that might help, although in different spots. However, where the student has a checklist for checking their assignment, the teacher book has an evaluation and an evaluation checklist. And then it concludes with when to move to stage 2. So this whole section here for evaluation is not included in the student book at all. And it's really going to help you know when your child, when your student is ready to move on, when they've showed mastery. It gives you exactly what to look for. So I think that if you only got the student book, you would be missing out on a lot of this. You'd be missing out on your script for teaching. You'd be missing out on your evaluation assessments. And then I noticed that in stage 2, they have a completely different sample in the teacher's book versus the student book. So as far as I can tell, the main benefit in getting the student book is you have so many more student samples. You just have page after page of samples, both handwritten and typed out. I feel like these student samples are really valuable, especially if you are a homeschool family and not using this in a classroom. I just think it's really motivating and encouraging and inspiring for them to see what other students are writing and how other students are following the formula that they're learning. And you just don't get as many of the student samples in the teacher book alone as you get when you have both of them. As you continue through the lessons in the teacher book, you'll notice that some of your assignments do have a fast track option. So if you have a student who you want to move through these rather quickly because they are at a slightly advanced level, or you have a gifted student, she does give you the option to fast track them through these various stages. And you will notice that she provides a template for you to track what assignments they are doing and whether or not they're doing any fast track assignments. These are spread throughout the program. And then in the back of the book, we have our appendices. We have the exact same worksheets included in our teacher book that were in our student book. So 16 worksheets. But you'll notice that we have the answer key in the teacher book, and that is not included in the student book. All of your answers on these worksheets are going to be in red. Now, behind our worksheets and our answer key, we have the same quick reference sheets for stages 6 through 12. These are going to be identical to the quick reference sheets in the student guide. We have that same quick reference for all 38 sentence patterns. This is also identical to the student book. We have our same glossary of grammar terms, also identical to the student book. So that's it, y'all. This is the whole teacher book. So I think you'll agree that the teacher book and the student book are pretty different. In my opinion, they're different enough to warrant purchasing both of them. So let's kind of talk about what this actually looks like in practice. If you have a kiddo in stage 1, you're teaching them first power sentences. And all of their first power sentences need to include the word to, as in two people, two toys, two places. We have some samples here. This might seem like it's very limiting. I know I thought that it was when I first saw it. However, it's really not. It's giving your kid a very clear and simple starting point, but they can really take off and make that into anything they want it to be. So a lot of these samples, you'll see that they're writing about toys or bugs or places that they went. I play with two friends, two thoughts entered my mind as I drove down the street. It really is just giving them a jumping off point, and that is exactly what we want a first power sentence to do, because this is eventually going to turn into the introduction of a paragraph. When we get into stage 2, we're going to be building on that first power sentence by adding 2 second power sentences. So here's our example. I have 2 toys. That's our first power sentence that we learned in stage 1. First, I have a doll. Second, I have a ball. Those are our second power sentences. When we get into our examples, we see that they go from pretty short and concise to a bit longer and more detailed. I know 2 people. The first person I know best is my mom. The second person I know best is my dad. And then we go down to, I learned 2 things in history. To begin with, I learned that Christopher Columbus was not the first person in North America. In addition, I learned that Greenland is not all green. So you can see how this basic formula, you could really run with this. You could write about anything. So my plan for implementing this is I can create writing assignments. I can say to my 9-year-old, almost 4th grader, who's on stage 2, I need you to write a 1-2 paragraph about what we learned in history quest today. Or I need you to write a 1-2 paragraph about what we learned in science today. And if she needs a reminder, I can go back to my script and I can go over that with her again. But as we do it repeatedly, those reminders should become less and less frequent until she has come to a point of mastery. The other great thing I can do is I can say, write a 1-2 paragraph about what we did at the park. Write a 1-2 paragraph about what you did at grandma's house. I can encourage her to write a 1-2 paragraph about the chapter book that she just finished reading, or about the main character in one of the stories that we've read together. The possibilities are really endless. And if your child is more naturally creative and expressive and they want to just free write and express themselves, they could do that too. You can definitely say, hey, this is the style of paragraph I need from you, and you can make it about anything you want. But the program offers you that flexibility. You can have the writing assignments be as structured or as loose as you want them to be, but the framework, the scaffolding is here. By stage 3, they're going to be writing a 5-sentence paragraph, and we have a 1-2-3 pattern. So 1-2-3, 2-3. First power, second power, third power, second power, third power. And the example they have is, I have 2 toys. First, I have a doll. She has blonde hair. Second, I have a ball. It is bright blue. So now we're inserting sentences and we're adding more detail to the 2 things that we are listing, which is what we learned in stage 2. So you can see how this just slowly builds off of each prior skill. And again, we have lots of samples and examples of what this can look like. Everything from writing about Loki, the Joker, and Batman, to writing about favorite animals or favorite stores. Again, this is a bouncing off point and can go in any direction that you or your kiddo decide for it to go. Now, stage 4 is really building off of stage 3, because now it's challenging your child. They're going to be following that same 1-2-3, 2-3 paragraph pattern, but they're going to be writing it without the word there. It's really encouraging them to make their sentences more interesting and more varied. So yeah, that just gives you an idea, and then it continues from there. Each stage is going to be building off of the skills in the previous stage. Stage 5, we're still working with that same paragraph, but now we're doing a different challenge to change it up even more. And then in stage 7, they finally expand that paragraph to 7 sentences. So you can really see just how slow and steady this is. And along the way, if you're doing your worksheet practice, your kiddo is covering the basic grammar that they need to be able to write to this level really well. If we go back to our teacher's guide, one of our FAQs was about grammar and spelling. And honestly, she makes a really good case for this could be your standalone curricula. You don't necessarily need more grammar instruction further than what is provided in here. Obviously, that's your personal choice. But as your kiddo is doing these writing exercises and they're continually editing their own writing, so they're editing their own spelling errors, their punctuation errors, whatever it might be, that could suffice. That could be enough grammar practice. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I can try to answer those in the comments below, but I really hope that this little flip through and first look was helpful. As I have more time and experience using this program with my kiddos in our homeschool, I'll definitely update you guys and share a more thorough review of how we liked it, how it worked for us, and whether or not we saw progress with it. I'll let you guys know all of that. But for right now, I'm just so excited to be trying this out. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.